Friday, July 5th, 2019. Thank God it's Friday. And this is the Pro and Con Show. I'm Michael James Ott, and I'm your host. Actually, during the show a little bit early, we try to target 6 p.m. Central Time. Doesn't always work out. So I've got to support my spouse. She works at the local library, and she has a July 5th evening thing, and I need to attend with her to support her social aspects of being a librarian. So anyway, the Pro and Con Show, encouraging dialogue, just begging people, please open your hearts and your minds to, the complexities of these issues that we face. Okay, the pro and the con, the good and the bad, the for and against. Because, you have to be fully appraised of the whole truth, and then equipped with that, armed with that, you can actually make the best decision. So the analogy I'll use over and over again is buying a used car, a certain price, and then you take it to a shop to have them inspect it, and they do some analysis, and they come to you and they say, well, a good car except for the transmission. We think the transmission could fail. And, this is a handful of thousands of dollars. The transmission is one of the main components of a modern car and one of the most expensive to either repair or replace. So now you have a different perspective. Now you're fully informed, and you can decide what to do next with this, but you're doing it based on being fully informed. And the same thing needs to happen. All the laws of this country, they govern us all, every single one of us. That's the intent, okay? And so we need to adopt policies and laws that are, can be accepted by everybody. And we may not love them, but we understand where they come from, and we can at least support them as a general rule, right, for everybody. So I look through the different websites, and there's some of them are left-leaning, some are right-leaning. So on the right we have Breitbart, and then Fox News. Then the more centrist is NPR, National Public Radio, then CNN, and finally Huffington Post. And so the big thing in the news yesterday being July the 4th, is Mr. Trump decided to change the normal July 4th celebrations in Washington, D.C., and include a speech by him. And also he was adamant that we need to have various military equipment things featured. So that's what he did. And the Huffington Post has, there's two things on their website. So again, jingo journalism, right? So Department of Justice, DOJ, blows the census deadline and is still trying to rig it. So this whole thing about rigging the census comes down to one question, and the question is, are you a citizen of the United States? And there are different viewpoints on whether that's a good thing to have in the census or not. Turns out that question has appeared in the census before. So you should know, and again, depending on the information stream that you get, you probably don't know, or could easily not know, that having citizenship, or that question around, are you a citizen of the United States of America, that basically can have an effect of causing people who are not citizens of the United States, especially people that are here illegally, they would not want to answer the census. And the question comes to, what do you believe? Is it better to have a census that people are answering, and therefore you get, we talk about maybe 8 or 10 million people that may or may not respond to the census if the citizenship question is on there. Then you also, at this point, you may have a bunch of people don't want to respond to the census because they're upset that that question is on there. Of course, vice versa, if the question isn't on there, there could be several millions of people that don't want to respond to the census because they think it should have been on there. And it all comes down, so here's the polarization stuff, right? So Democrats versus Republicans, we have two political parties, and this is not the America that we want to be living in. At least I don't want to be. I think the vast majority of you agree with me. We don't want to be in this polarized America. And the census thing, and one question about whether you're a citizen or not, I don't know what the right answer is. Perhaps send half of the census ballots out without the question and half with, and compare the results. Just randomly send them. It's probably the best answer. Just throwing out an idea as an engineer, because you have these arguments over whether or not these things should be sent or should be part of it. So why not do half and half and see? How about that for an answer? Anyway, but the main thing is that this one particular question, I would not even begin to refer to the census being rigged because of that one question. Although certainly there are some people that would hope that they are influencing the outcome by including it. Now, the other big part of it was, and the other thing that's on here, is tepid turnout. So there's all kinds of discussion about Mr. Trump's event and how he inserted himself in, and so was the turnout really tepid or not? Well, the Huffington Post, there's a picture that at least one photographer took of the reflecting pool and the people, the crowds around it. And the reality is that there are a couple of areas, and I'm not quite sure why I wasn't there when this thing was organized, but it seems like there were some fences and you could come up to a certain place and then you had to stop, and then there was another group closer to Mr. Trump. And so at the back end of that first group, there's some number of people that aren't there. It's emptiness. But if you look at the whole picture, so let me show you the difference here. Let me show you the difference. If they have it, they can show it. Bear with me. Okay. Takes a moment sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to just do it this way. By the miracle of an iPad. Oh, come on. Well, let me flip it. Yes. Okay, so you see that picture. It shows effectively the left side of the reflecting pool, and there's this gap in the crowd. And so they've focused on the picture to show that. Now let me show you. This is effectively the same picture. This is on Breitbart. So let me flip it over. Now they're showing you the entire area around the reflecting pool. And this area that the Huffington Post was talking about is right there. So again, the bias in the media, people trying to influence your views by the way that they're presenting information. So don't let them do it. Now, so Mr. Trump did give a speech. He, to the best of my knowledge, having read, again, multiple sources, he had a pre-loaded speech on a teleprompter, and he gave that speech, and it was about American history and encouraging people to take pride in America. There was a gaffe, which he says the teleprompter failed at one point, and when it did, he started talking about the Revolutionary Army, the American Revolutionary Army, back in the 1700s, capturing airports and that kind of stuff. He was ad-libbing, and when he does, the words come, and he's not that strong mentally anymore. So he's not able to process some things in the background in his head before he speaks them, and so he misspeaks in this kind of way when he kind of goes off script, if you will. So anyway, he did that, but okay, so what? So let's go to see what Fox News. Well, I had just refreshed it. Now it's refreshing again. So here we go. So their top news, just there was a woman who was killed, a Utah college student, and that has now made the top of their information. They did have a story that said something to the effect of Mr. Trump, sticks to the script and, gives patriotic, impartial speech, basically. So, not much there. Let's go to NPR. Okay, NPR has their top story is hiring rebounds in June as employers add 224,000 jobs. So the truth is that the employment rate, the job growth was good again. It had been anemic for a couple of months there, and it was reported to be 224,000 jobs created in June. But the unemployment rate actually ticked up a little bit. And you can say, well, how is that possible? When, it's it should keep going down. Well, the reality is that back in 2008, 2009 timeframe, when we had the Great Recession, a lot of people left the workforce and have never returned. And so the actual total workforce that we have, people working compared to 2007, is actually still much less today than it was back in 2007. And so I read another article that said that people that have been long time frustrated with trying to find a job are now deciding that they're going to seek a job again, because the unemployment rate has been low and has remained so low that they feel like maybe they can get a good job that pays well enough to make it worth their while, basically. Let's see here. And then there's another little discussion. What time? Oh, we're kind of running out of time for today. Let's just wrap it up for today. I'll talk again tomorrow. So for Friday, June the 5th, 2019, this is Michael James Ott. Thanks for watching the show. I look forward to talking to you again. Look back at my old shows on Ott in 2020 or on Facebook. And I look forward to talking to you again also in the future. Until then, bye for now.